Well, some of my theories on episode 6 of Ranking the Kings came true, just not quite all of them. And some in different ways than I actually anticipated. But yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 6, so let's jump right into it. So from the two perspectives of this episode, we have one perspective obviously being Boji and Kage as they confront Desher. And it's kind of funny because they came there with this perspective, okay, Desher is going to make Boji stronger. We were sent here. I think it pretty much insinuated that Kage got a letter from Bebin to go down here and actually find this Desher guy to give Boji some sort of strength. And it seems like Desher pretty much knows what's going on. He's like, oh yeah, I heard that Bose is dead, and oh yeah, you must be his son, and oh, so the rumors are true that you're actually deaf, you can't even talk. Pretty much making fun of him the entire time and pretty much claiming that he's pretty much gotten an idea of everything that's been going on, at least in Bose's kingdom. And this leads Kage to basically say, hey, look, I came here because we need you to actually get Boji stronger, and Desher's like, why would I do that? And eventually he starts testing Boji, like, okay, let's see your strength. So he sends out the captain of the Order of the Underground, and this guy apparently is extremely strong. He's able to pretty much take down entire countries, hunt down the Order itself hunts down people that escape from the underground. And so he's like, yeah, try at it, Boji. And Boji's, of course, hitting at this guy and pretty much nothing's happening. So he starts making fun of how extremely weak Boji is. But Kage's like, no, wait. He's really great at dodging. So they have the captain start to attack him, and sure enough, Boji dodges every single one of his attacks, which is definitely impressive to the captain. As we get a little bit inner dialogue, we find out the captain himself is he respects Bose. He respected him a lot, so he had a lot of expectations for Boji. And obviously, he's let down quite a bit by the fact that Boji is so incredibly weak. But he's still kind of surprised by how the fact that Boji can pretty much dodge every single one of his attacks. But even still, in the end, Desher's like, nah, not gonna happen. He's too incredibly weak. He doesn't have the talent for it. He's better off finding something else to do in life. There's plenty of things to do in life. Why king, basically? Intrigued by this because my expectations would be that why wouldn't this, at this point, he kind of just point out the fact that technically the ranking of kings is not just about strength alone. They pointed that out with Bose. Bose, if it was all about strength, he would have been number one. But it's not. It's about other things. And I think they implied that with the very beginning of the series on this idea that it's about strength. It's about those that follow you. It's about your respect that you have. All these things are a part of the ranking of kings system. Now, granted, the only thing that we've really seen so far in the trials of this is strength alone. We haven't seen what other things they kind of put them through to test to see where their ranking's at. Even still, it was kind of interesting to see that Desher apparently is number 2. They kind of put a little subtitle that says that he's number 2 in the ranking of king system. But yeah, with that said, I really like this because it has this moment where, Kage's feeling defeated. Boji obviously is feeling defeated. He's feeling a little bit, let down on the fact that he can't even stand up to this captain. Kage just gives him a little pat on the back, pretty much like a, don't worry about it, let's keep at it. And that's when he realized, oh yeah, by the way, I have this letter for you. I have this letter of recommendation. I totally forgot about this. And apparently, I'm again assuming this is from Bebin himself, but yeah, Desher's like, did you read this before you came here? He's like, no, I was just supposed to bring it to you. And he rips it up and says, get him out of here. Well, we find out later, this letter apparently was addressed to not Desher, but his little brother, Desper. He's like, the captain comes to him later and hands him the letter and says, hey, he's a little mad because, him and his little brother don't get along. He's envious of his little brother because his little brother apparently is just he's full of a lot of wisdom. But yeah, you can kind of see this aspect of that being a little bit insulting to go to the king and say, hey, I was supposed to come here to you. Here you go. Oh, it's for your little brother. Oops, sorry. Apologies. But it's a cool little scene out here because obviously Boji's very much let down. He's tearful because he let Kage down because this expectation for him to be strong, he didn't meet it. At the same time, Kage is, apologizing to him for bringing him there and him not being able to do anything. But again, this captain comes out. This captain is rooting for Boji. It's like the second person to have in Boji's corner. This captain, this really powerful captain's like, look, I want him to get stronger. I'm rooting for Boji to get stronger because, again, he has this respect for his father and thus for his Boji. So yeah, that's when they find out they have to go to find this Desper guy. So that's when they run off. They eventually get to this town where they find this statue for Desher, and it's disfigured. So obviously people don't seem to like Desher, or at least somebody doesn't. And that's when they find Desper, and Desper is completely different than his brother. Desher's like super crazy, loud and rude, but his brother's like very refined and Come on in. But obviously, them hitting heavy on the aspect that Desper is full of great wisdom might be because they were coming there to get strength. It wasn't to get it from a strong king. It was to get wisdom to possibly, and again, this is the thing that I kind of didn't really get from Desher, is Desher knew that Boji was cursed. And I think he knows that Boji is probably cursed of strength. So why wouldn't he point that out? Like, okay, well, you're here to get trained. He's obviously really quick, and he's obviously strong because he's the son of a Titan. Or giant. So why not tell him that, okay, well, let's get rid of your curse. Again, I think the whole reason being there, and why, again, Bebin sent them there, is because Desper, being very knowledgeable, could remove that curse from Boji so that Boji can then have strength. It's not training him. It's not getting him stronger. It's releasing the strength that he already has that he can't use. Which we all know where this is going. We all know where this is going. This is the aspect of it's the Dragon Ball Z, take off the cuffs and suddenly you're super strong because you've been training this whole time with these limits and you learned how to be super quick and agile, and now you're going to get your super strength to go along with it. But of course, on the other side of this whole, and it was so funny because when they finally transitioned to Daida, I'm like, oh yeah, that's going on, isn't it? I've completely crossed that out of my mind. Immediately when the episode opens up, it has Boji. I'm like, okay, cool, more Boji. Completely forgot about Daida. But yeah, like I said, it technically went a little bit in the direction that I was expecting it to. My whole, prediction was that there was two aspects. One was that possibly the mirror was Boji's mother, and my other prediction was that this potion that they were making was going to turn him into his father. And that's where I think it's going based on, again, playing off to my predictions about Apios. Him arriving there, obviously the only reason he's not going to kill Daida is either if Daida drinks it and attacks him back, or they somehow convince Apios that Daida can become the king. He can become Bose. And that's where I think it's going. But yeah, obviously, as we transition there, Daida's like, look, I'm going to do it my own strength. Something that, I don't know, it wasn't really told in a way that makes sense, is they put a lot of emphasis on Daida recalling images of Boji, and Boji basically fiddling with some stuff, him getting, help from his mother, and then eventually this whole scenario where he's fighting with him again and sparring with him, and how Boji defeated him. And then it cuts to him receiving the crown instead of Boji. And it cuts back to Daida in the current time, and he says he's promising to be a king that can live up to his expectations. And then the mirror asks, what'd you say? So my assumption there was, yeah, I had the thought that he was saying it to the mirror, that he's going to live up to expectations of being a king, but he wasn't saying it loud enough for the mirror. He was saying it in response to seeing Boji in his mind. So again, it still plays a little bit on him liking Boji. Like, he did like Boji. Even though he did send somebody to kill Boji, there's still a sense of he's doing everything to become the best king. He had to sacrifice Boji, but there's still a side of him that wants to live up to the expectations that Boji had, or at least would have, if he didn't kill him. I don't know. That's just what I'm reading into it. It still feels like there's a little bit of him in there that still regrets taking out Boji. I'm not sure about regret's the right word, but at least he still wants to live up to his sacrifice. Like, now that you're gone, I'm going to do everything that your sacrifice isn't at waste. Because if you die and then I don't become a great king, you died for no reason. I don't know. It's just what I'm reading into it. But even still, Apios comes in, and like I predicted, or I think we most all did, Apios immediately attacks Daida. The mirror calls out for him to stop, and he immediately stops. Obviously, he knows this voice. And then he goes to the mirror and starts talking to it, and that's when we find out that this mirror is Lady Miranjo. And Lady Miranjo apparently is special in some way. As we get a quick flashback, we see that Apios, before he became strong, so this is the point, we've seen a flashback where he was basically struggling to be strong enough for Bose, and eventually it cuts to him pretty much taking down a griffin. And so we get to see, I guess, how he got that strength, and that Bose took Apios down inside this frozen chamber to this Miranjo, and Miranjo did something. She sent this griffin after him, he's screaming, and then we're supposed to assume, I guess, after that, he became strong. But he has some sort of respect for Miranjo, and so he immediately stops, obviously, and then he goes to listen to her. He's almost speaking to her as if she's some sort of person of power. Obviously, I guess if he got his strength from something that she did, he has some respect for her, but he goes up close to her because she wants to tell him something. During this time, Daida picks up the scythe to go kill Appius because Appius nearly killed him. And he immediately turns and apologizes. And the mirror claims, don't attack him. He understands now. Please put down the weapon. And then that's when Appius punches him in the stomach. And then, we cut to where Appius is essentially with the mirror, and these two other guys are forcing Daida to drink this potion. And she claims that you were right to be cautious. This potion, or this elixir, is not to give you strength, but something else. And we don't get to know until the next episode, obviously. But yeah, I think this goes into my theory. My theory was that this mirror was going to tell Appius that, we can get the king back if Daida drinks this. And I think that's the only reason that Appius is agreeing to this. The mirror probably told him, look, we've done this whole process. We're going to revive the king. We just need to get him to drink this potion, and he could become Bosse. And then Appius agreeing to this because he does trust Miranjo for some reason. He's going to agree to this because he wants Bosse back. Everything for Bosse. He also basically told them the only reason he's going to kill Daida is because, according to Bosse, he wanted Boji to be king. So anything that would go against that, the only other thing that he would want, rather than Bosse to have what he wanted, which was Boji to become king, is to have Bosse back. It's the only reason that he would go with that. Unless, again, there's some sort of strength that Miranjo has, or some sort of power over Appius. But I guess it was so funny because the moment he said that he knows that voice, I'm like, oh no, it's gonna be Boji's mom. No, some Miranjo person. But yeah, that's what we pretty much got from this episode. So again, my expectation is that Boji and Kage are going to meet with this Desper guy. Desper guy is going to give them some way to possibly remove the curse that's preventing his strength from coming out, his giant strength from coming out. May require some sort of trial that he has to go through just to make it a little more interesting, probably. And additionally, like I said, on the other side, I think probably next episode, or the moment that we get to see Daida again, it's probably going to be him having some sort of... It's got to be a failed attempt to bring Bosse back. I think he's going to be like this warped midsection. Like he doesn't get the full spirit of Bosse into him. Either that, or the expectation was for him to be possessed by some sort of demonic strength that Bosse had that, we obviously seen leave him at the end of Bosse's life. But again, the only reason I can see Appius agreeing to this is if Daida was going to have some sort of possession of Bosse, because otherwise I don't know that, of course, we don't know enough about Miranjo yet, but I would assume that his loyalties would lie more in what Bosse wanted, which was Boji to be a king, than Miranjo. So, I don't know. We'll see. But that's my thoughts on episode 6 of Ranking of Kings. Still fantastic series. And again, like I said, usually with every single episode having some tearful moment. Definitely seeing Boji struggle to pick up the rock was a little bit painful, but a lot more people to be there to pat him on the back. That captain to pat him on the back, Kage to pat him on the back. At least he's got support going forward, hopefully, from now on. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below, comment, let me know what's of the episode, subscribe if you haven't already, share this video if you can, support us on Patreon or the tips link in the description below. And we appreciate everybody that does, and y'all take care.